All right. Peace. All right, what's going on, everybody out there? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional. You know, I'm gonna start saying AKA I Supreme. I need to start saying that.
Yes, sir.
That. So here's the deal. Just real quick before we get into it, for those who tuning in and they want to know, hey, why is he always using Ron Brown LMT? Ron Brown LMT is a business. Just to let you know, Ron Brown LMT is a business. I Supreme, that's my righteous name. So I'm gonna start saying that. So anyway, peace to everybody on the chat. Oh, Hope Owens. Pardon me, sister. I'm gonna reach back out to you. If that's who I think that's the email I've been getting. My bad. Pardon. To be honest with you, we're getting a lot of emails, we're getting a lot of texts, a lot of calls, and there's only 2 people running this thing. So it's a lot. And then we both work full time. So pardon me, sister. I will get back to you. Thank you for coming out. God Magnetic, God Victorious LLR. Peace to y'all from Morocco. You're calling in from Morocco. However, Victorious LLR, you're from Ohio and then went to Morocco. Blah blah blah.
I rest in Timbuktu. That's what we call Tacoma. It's about 30 miles south of Seattle. So Magnetic's in Morocco.
Yes,
I'm in Timbuktu. Down the road a little bit.
Now, Timbuktu, who gave that area that name?
It's a good question, God. When I came here, that's the guys told me that's how they drew it up. So I just wrote it out.
That was kind of the build of the original 9, who kind of made knowledge born here. A lot of born students. They drew up Morocco. Seattle is Morocco, and they drew up Tacoma as Timbuktu. As in relationship. Back home in Africa, Morocco and Timbuktu are akin, close to each other. So kind of drew that up. Yeah.
Okay, that's peace. Thank you, Dr. Hope Owens. Dr. Hope Owens, thank you. I really appreciate you. Let me see. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to make sure I connect with her. And I cannot forget Hope Owens. Don't let me forget Hope Owens, chat people. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Thank you for the explanation. Timbuktu, that's where you are. That's where you are. Now, today we're talking about the Black Round Table. We have 2 guards from the Black Round Table. Oh, Timbuktu, New York as well. Oh, Cujo in the building. Peace, Cujo. Peace,
Cujo.
Peace. All right, so Timbuktu, the Black Round Table. We have 2 brothers from the Black Round Table here right now. We got more coming from the Black Round Table. Now, let's go into it. Things that we would like to get into is the FBA. So we were talking about the foundational Black Americans. The conversation got a little hot last week when discussing that and hip hop, Fat Joe, and things like that. However, it wasn't supposed to go in that direction because nobody from the Black Round Table is about that. The Black Round Table, for what I know, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, is more about unity. If you're more 5% Christian, whatever it is, we bring all the information to the table and we try to find some kind of commonality for us to unite.
Indeed. Otherwise, what would be the purpose of us all coming together physically or coming together to a table if we're going to just disagree? When people come to a table, grown men come to a table, they conduct business, right? And they leave, everybody has something. Everybody leave with something, Everybody come with something, but everybody usually leave with more. Because since there's more of them at the table, they can multiply the idea, right?
To add on to that, the Quran says that Allah, made you to be nations of people. We're different so that you may know one another. We're all uniquely different, and that's our design. And a lot of times people get conscious and they get it twisted. Like they think the people supposed to think and act like them. And that's
Indeed.
not how this works, man. Everybody is unique in their own self and their own sojourn here. We all have our
Mm,
own unique qualities. So the round table is a place where we can bring our excellent qualities to the table so that we can move forward and really demonstrate the power of God. Because power is
indeed.
unity. We're all talking that in our little selective groups and cliques, but real
Mm,
power is in when all the heads of state come together and make it do what it do, bro. Because it's
yes,
that
sir.
time.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. So before we go into it, because now I'm thinking about what you just said. Now, even though we get knowledge of self, right? We get knowledge of self, and we at times believe people are supposed to think the way we supposed to think. We start getting into like this mindset of being like a dictator almost, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
I found that if you don't have some, I don't care if I'm 5% and you're
Mm,
a more or a Christian,
mm,
for me, you should be following that to the T, right?
right.
And little to no wavering
Mm,
from your core teachings, because
mm,
or else you don't have a foundation. I have a foundation that I follow
mm,
every day. Every day I'm dealing with
mm.
mathematics. Every day I'm dealing
Right
with
there.
mathematics. So
Mhm.
if I'm dealing with mathematics, good orderly direction every single day, and you are just flowing and blowing with the wind, how can we work together?
Well, God, that's why I said that we all have to bring excellent qualities because it's not about the school of thought or our particular persuasion or how we got this knowledge. It's about the character of the individual. We need
Mm.
people with the right character and
Yes, sir.
intention at the round
Mhm.
table as a head of state, as a real leader, and to guide the masses of our people who really looking for positive direction and guidance, really looking for to be successful in being a positive person and to being able to access the resources that people keep promising them. All these
Mm,
people in the past made all these promises and nothing's happened.
mm.
They're still naked, hungry, and out of doors.
Right.
When we
Knowledge.
examine, when we look at any nation, though, across the planet, family, any nation that you can name that came together that had any power or influence, okay, they're all made up of a group of different ethnicities and smaller groups who came together so that they could exercise greater power and to preserve maybe something that was being diminished as individuals, but as a group, as a collective, it cannot be diminished. You see what I'm saying? And this is kind of what happened around the 15th century, where we took a lot of these different groups, that were being destroyed and wiped out by white supremacy, and we all united here in North America to create a new lineage. And those of us who did that, look how strong this Black internationality is in all the places that it is. But this is a time now in which we have to look at the old parts, take the best parts of that and make something what? Better. And
Right.
that's what a nation does. That's what a nation does. When did they do it? Now.
Right.
To
Now I want
elevate
to I want to
Mhm.
before we continue on, I just want to acknowledge the chat. And now the brother Cujo said the greatest power exercise was them having nationality.
Mm.
Now, I don't want to go too far deep in down that rabbit hole, uh,
Mhm.
because that conversation can be lengthy. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
but however, uh, black nationality,
Mhm. Mhm.
that there's an issue with black and nationality when it
But I
pertains
think I
to
think I think when he says
on.
nationality, he's referring to the utility and the power with not necessarily just the name that we've associated with it, but the power that people have when they have a nationality, right? how that's exercised, right?
Wait, I didn't
The
hear what you the
energy
last thing you
behind
said.
it.
Right, the power that nationality has. When you have nationality and you're sitting next to someone else who has nationality, there's a degree of equality that's there between you and that person, right? Not
Right.
necessarily the name or how we've discussed nationality. We understand what the Moorish mean when they say nationality, but I think even they are talking about the function of nationality, not just somebody saying they have nationality, right?
Yeah, indeed. The
Okay.
function.
Yes, sir. And that's what I'm talking about, the functions and the different utilities that our different organizations have and the excellent qualities that they have brought us and helped to bring us through times with. We know I can look at the Moorish Science Temple and see how they gave us civics and law. I can look at the Nation of Islam and see how they gave us liberation theology at a time when we needed it. I can see how the UNIA gave us nationality at a time when we were kind of devoid of it. I can look and see how the Black church gave us a place and a space to carry out the civil rights movement. I can see how the Father brought a high form of intelligence to the streets. And these are all, they were very timely when they did these things. So we can see the utility, how the Black Panther Party brought us the law, you see, and a certain degree of civics as well that no one else could bring and implement. And we have to take these things and put them together and stop trying to separate them as if they're separate phenomenons, because they're really all a part of one people, one nation, one heritage, you see.
Indeed. That's a
Yes,
fact.
sir.
And
And
it's
that's
only
the
one agenda. There's
that's
only
the,
one agenda, and that's total and complete salvation and liberation of a righteous
Come on.
nation.
indeed. Now
Yes,
People,
sir.
I
people
want
in
to
all schools of thought, all these different particular schools of thought, they get close, but nobody got closer than the messenger. And
Mm.
I think that it's time to move out on all the the knowledge that we received from the elders who gave us examples of what nationality was, nationhood, and sovereignty,
Mm.
independence.
There's
Gotcha.
just different
I just want
expressions
to
of
add
it.
that.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Before you go, I just want to acknowledge people who make donations for sure. Thank you for the brother Tariq for the $5. Before I was saying power dollars. That didn't go well because people didn't know that I was acknowledging them. But so thank you for the $5. I really appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, continue on. Pardon me.
Well, Lord, and it has to be a place and a space. It can't just be a thought, right, of unity. If unity is just a thought, it just remains a thought. It has to go from being a thought to an expression and then a place and a space where this thought and this expression lives, right? This is the first, well, there's probably other places and spaces, but this is the place in which we come forth and we're saying we want to deal with a lot of the organizations in which we see within our sphere, right? That we're in contact with to bring them to the Black Roundtable. Because, we're looking at from 1930 until today. Let's just deal with that. That's like almost like 100-year span. So now we're having to do an inventory on what was successful and what was not successful, what worked, what did not. We know to some degree all of our organizations have contributed something, so we can qualify them as being useful, but we have to qualify them and say, what do we need from them today? What part of what they gave us do we need to take and really re-implement and multiply and take into the future? You see what I'm saying? So I'm talking about things like, we're looking at things like principles like cooperation, how we can see examples of that in MSTA, how MSTA and the Nation of Islam and the African Brotherhood, what cooperation they have had, examples of cooperation, the diplomacy, okay, between maybe the Greek fraternal organizations, because these people have given a lot to our people as well. When we couldn't have no Black organizations, the only thing you could be was a Greek, and they used that as the cover for Black organizations. So we have to, preserve that and look at that history and look at the civic work that they've done in our communities. Okay.
Pardon me, God. Now,
Yes, sir.
I like your flow. I like where you're going with this. Before we continue, there are two things I want to say. Brother Tariq said, "Can I relay this comment to the guest?" The 15th century, 1400s, was European Christians fighting against us Moors. 781 years, 711 A.D. until January 2nd,
Yes, sir.
1492. Okay, so that's relayed to you. Um, Now you were saying you said 1930, right? Now 1930 is coming
Taking the
from
inventory. Yeah, we're taking the
okay.
inventory.
So 1930, you're starting at 1930. Why?
I'm beginning with 1930 because, okay, this was the time of the Great Depression, number one, and this was the time at the kind of the beginning of what they call the Great Migration, not just a physical migration, okay, a political migration and a spiritual and a cultural migration from one type of black person whom they had created from the antebellum South, right, to a different type of black person and a different type of black group that could do different things that they could not do prior to this. Okay. This is where I'm starting. And I'm also talking about Black Bottom, which was one of our first black meccas. Black Bottom, Detroit. What happened there? A lot of people came and saw the poverty that was going on there. Okay. Not only was it a black poverty neighborhood, but we were in the Depression, the Great Depression. So that means it's like triple fold, right? So social workers, politicians, and stuff are like, oh, we can't fix that. Them is nigger problems. We can't deal with that. No, we're gonna stay far away from that because if we fail, we look like failures. So a lot of people were not anxious to go in there and deal with that. Most people were running from that because there was a lot of crime and there was a group there called the Purple Gang. Okay, now I just wanted to lay that out because you said 1930. Now there was a guy who went in there who they said didn't speak the language that well, who they said didn't look black, whom they said came with a different kind of religion, whom they labeled the Black Detroit Voodoo Cult. But somehow he was able to flip all of these people who came from the South, who they said weren't very well educated, not only from one religion to the other religion, but to being a unified civic group that was affecting politics, not only in Detroit and Chicago, in the Midwest, but throughout the world. Wow. This is what we call a miracle. Okay. There's a new type of thinking that's here that's going on if this man is able to achieve this, but nobody else could. And there was all these other Christian ministers there and social workers and right government programs going on, but only he could produce these kind of results. Wow. What was he working with? Well, different people have different things to say about what he was working with. I have my perspective on it, but what we can say is from that point, the black movement began to move faster and more aggressive and more focused and more organized. Yeah,
with more power and force behind it.
indeed, because it had a theological component behind it. All great civilizations have a God at the center of it, and that God is not invisible. That God is physical. Y'all can take me to any, they might have made it mystical and invisible, but it started out as physical, right? You go to Rome, Romulus and Remus, right? These were some real people, but they just mystified it. You go to Nubia, you're dealing with Anubis. This was a real person, but they just mystified him. You know what I mean? And so forth, the nation of gods and earths. This was a real person who taught real things to real people to deal with real situations. And that's why it hits like it hits, because he didn't tell you about a law, he showed you a law. And this is the same thing W.D. Farad did in a time when a prophet was not going to help you. A preacher was not going to help you. You needed God to come in person to show you God, or to show you that you was God, to show you the God that was in you, or it wasn't going to work. Because this was the time of people like John Dillinger, of Bonnie and Clyde. This was the great crime wave of when criminology was at its height and the banks had sold people out. So the people were more with the gangsters and hating the banksters. You feel me? But W.D. Farrar was able to say, hey, you don't have to take that road of criminology. You could just accept your own and what?
Be
Be
yourself.
yourself and get all the treasures of the world. That's pretty strong.
That is.
Now that's one example. But we could go to the Moorish Science Temple and say almost the very same thing with a slightly different group of people, multiple temples that were set up and multiple people's way of life that was changed and influenced, really based upon that, the frequency that he brought it in. Because one thing I like about him, he got a Sufi mystic twist to it, and he said a lot of little definite details that were not in the teachings of 120. Not to subtract from 120, but there's things that the Moorish Science Temple have shown maybe that were not included, as they say, in these lessons, So I appreciate
Definitely.
him greatly for that. Yeah.
For sure.
Especially the question and answers. It's pretty
Come
crispy,
on, man.
man. Right?
Yeah. It's like the new take on the Sufi, Yeah, it's like the new take on the Sufi stuff, because some of the Sufi stuff is dated, but he brought it up to date and gave us a taste. Like when they said, what color is the Moor? He said, oh, it's the color of the olives, but the olive is green, red, black.
Exactly.
So he gave you some game there. I said, okay. That was kind of some
What I
thorough
would
shit.
like to do, what I would like to do is make sure that we need a really thorough etymologist, like a conscious brother to etymologist to add to the roundtable, because we can move farther faster when we realize that these words really are synonymous. They really mean the same thing.
You know who's really good with etymology?
Sharif.
Sharif, but I was getting ready to say Abdullah Bey.
Okay.
Abdullah Bey from Philadelphia.
Okay.
He's nice with it.
Okay,
But,
we need to bring him to the equation. Add him on to the cycle, bro.
I was supposed to do an interview with him, but it's just got a little busy. Now, the brother Cujo said Drew Ali and Garvey are the foundation of all black movements. We have to go before 1930. That's where I was getting, because Noble Drew Ali started in 1913. However, the guard was talking about the Great Depression and how the energy and the social, political, and economic climate at that time pretty much drove drove society in a direction. So,
indeed.
So that's
the conditions are causing this to happen. It's always the condition. It says Allah won't change the condition of the people until they change their minds.
Right.
So they become one mind. So this condition has produced this. The condition always produces a solution, and the solution is oneness. Real oneness.
And one thing I always look at these lessons, right? But I look at three specific different time periods. The time in which WD brought it, 1930. The time in which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad rose Malcolm X and them up, like the 60s, right? And that group, but then how it was proliferated amongst that group, more of the civil rights gangster kind of group. But then there came the group that the gods brought it to, and the Father brought it to. Now these people were, and also Khalid, the people who he brought it to. These were three different time periods, but they dealing with the same lessons, just a slightly different presentation.
That's the point right there. Because look, the reason why I'm staying, you knowledge that. So 1930, 1960,
yes,
right?
Sir.
And then after that, you're talking about the 1990s.
Indeed, right. And you see,
it
had to be brought differently each time, because you're dealing with a slightly different group and a slightly different situation. So you got to tweak it, and you got to sift through all these tools in the box, between UNIA, the Nation of Islam, Moorish Science Temple. By this time, the 90s, the Panther Party, all the rules and the tools that were put in this box, and find which ones are applicable to what? This situation, you see. And to speak on today's degree, that's how you show and prove that you understand the cipher, your surroundings, You see.
Yes, sir. How you understand if you have clarity of your surroundings, and you can master it.
Do
That's why
anything.
master is one who knows and understands everything around him. And I want the brightest minds and the most sincere people at the round table
Mm-hmm.
who have the
Indeed.
right intentions, because that's the core of the nation. That's the original nation.
Yes, sir.
Right.
That's the essence. The essence is here and now. People say, well, that's what Elijah was talking about when he was talking about the hereafter. The
Mm.
essence is hereafter. It's not after you die. People say, well, return to the essence. No, Cypher. The
Say
essence
that.
is the collective
The
energy, the
original.
power and force of
Yes, sir.
Allah. That's the
Mm-hmm.
supreme magnetic. Here and
Indeed.
now. This is the magnified, highest expression of reality. Through the third dimension is where Allah is seen and heard, the greatest and the farthest and the brightest.
Indeed, indeed. Now, I want to talk about how, as a Black Roundtable, what would be your strategy to bring all of these groups together with these unique characters and personality, same thing, kind of, and different ideologies. What's your strategy to bring people together? Because with all this different information,
Right.
I
It
think
can
that
separate and divide people. Yeah.
right, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that we as a people, no disrespect to us, and not trying to disrespect anyone here on the platform. I feel that as a whole, I'm making a general statement, right? As a whole, we're not mature enough to agree to disagree yet. We're not there.
I beg to differ, Lord. I think once you have a certain level of refinement and tact, and you the most dissatisfied, even if you in whatever group you in, whatever school of thought you rock with, within the nation of gods and
Mm-hmm.
herbs, I met plenty of gods who have distanced themselves from the masses of people within this nation, particularly because they're the most satisfied, and they really don't see it moving. Within the Moors, the same thing. Within the Hebrew Israelites. So all those who are the most dissatisfied are going to be at the round table, because
Exactly.
dissatisfaction is the only thing that produces what? Change.
Change.
Mhm.
Family, if I may add on to what my glorious brother Victorious so eloquently said, imagine that we're all in one house, but we're all in separate rooms, right? And we don't really talk to each other, and we all just live in these separate rooms, right? Think of how easy it would be for somebody to come in and rule the house that don't own the house. We own the house, but we're in our separate silos and rooms, right? Doing whatever we're doing. And that's justified because everybody needs their solo time. But then if somebody can come and take over the whole house, everybody in their separate rooms is homeless. All the food we put in the refrigerator becomes theirs. All the money that we've invested in the time we've invested into getting this house goes to them. And this is kind of the point that we're at, as groups, organizations, and silos. Our unity our disunity, and division only benefits one person, and it's not us. So, on saying that, unity is not like a choice, it's a logical place that you arrive at. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
what we
the brick.
strive for. When I picked up these lessons, when I picked up this knowledge, when I picked up this um, weight that I said I was going to put on my back and carry this out, the goal was to find air-likes and to build a
Come on.
nation and build a community of people who have one common cause, bruh, and who love each
Mm-hmm.
other and protect each other, do right by one another. We're going to fight and argue and have our disagreements, but we are one accord because we like spirit,
Indeed.
like energy. This is the war of Armageddon, bruh. This is the
Mm-hmm.
separation of the wheats and the tares from all groups. This ain't personal.
See?
This is the end of the bullshit, bruh. And I'm here to orchestrate it. That's who I am. I tell the gods clearly, I'm a different type of God. You got to do the knowledge to me, man, or your feelings might get hurt. or you might end up in a bad situation like in the trunk, nigga, for not doing the knowledge. We're here to put an end to the devil's civilization, bro. We're not playing no games. And if you really here to build the kingdom of God and to add on to in the right direction and take our children into a happy and free society where they can express themselves and not keep selling our babies out to the demonic order, talking that I'm God shit, nigga, please. So that's who we are. We're the gods who were predicted by the messenger. He said there'll be two gods on every corner, directing traffic. We're the two gods out here in the northwest corner, directing traffic of the whole human family on the planet Earth. Directing traffic meaning like leading people in the right direction, good orderly direction, bruh. And the best direction for our conscious, intelligent brothers and sisters to go in is to unite. We got to cross on the picket line, man, and go to work with other brothers and sisters that are different, so we can get stronger. That's a good thing. Each one teach. Imagine how much stronger we gonna be when we start uniting all these teachings and all these different things that we've got from all these great leaders, teachers, and guides, and apostles and prophets.
Right. Now, I want to just make mention of this, right? So we've been divided for how many years but now? Hundreds of years. Right.
Well, family,
we have so many conditioning, like so much conditioning. Like, so how is it possible? How is it possible?
Because we evaporate that, God. The wisdom build agree. When you build, you draw it up to crystal clarity, to a fine message naked eye can hardly detect. It's called oneness. We have the capacity and ability to do it.
Everybody is not okay. You know, if you come and you have a real positive equality on unity and you come to the table with your best, right? You put your best foot forward and you say unity, and the man next to you says division, and he does some other stuff, and you're sincere. And you're like, well, I know what you about if I come and I say multiplication and unity, and you come and you say division. These two ideas are 180 degrees across from each other. You know what I mean? So sometimes it just lets you know who someone is. And when we start talking about opposition, another word for opposition is devil. Because why would you be against unity? Functional, practical.
Okay, now we're talking.
That doesn't add up unless you
Why would they bomb out the brother Mastermind Allah at the rally at the school like they did? Disrespected that man. And he had the best idea.
Well, see, let me say this, though, God. Let me say this. You know, we building this. Everybody has their own individual house in which their organization lives, and it has a certain rules of how it goes. Okay. The beautiful thing that I liked about what Dr. College said, right? And I'm just talking about particularly what he said with the new Black Panther Party. This is one thing I liked, is that it was a big enough house, the way it was built, for anybody from any organization to come into it and bring the best parts of that organization, right, to add on to other people bringing other best parts of other organizations to make what we call revolutionary culture. Not revolutionary where it's a nigga hiding out in the bushes with a gun waiting to shoot you wearing camouflage. It's not what I'm talking about. When I talk about revolution, I mean revolutionizing an idea, updating it, renewing it, making it useful when it was non-useful, right? Taking something from normal and making it extraordinary, right? Taking what people been getting and make it a higher degree of quality. You see, that's what I'm talking about, revolutionizing. And when we talk about putting these sciences together, the best parts, the utilities from all of our organizations, which have now become our heritage, because it's 3, 4, 5 generations. Our grandparents were in it, our great-grandparents, some of our great-grandparents, our parents were in these organizations. So now this stuff is lineage and generational. So we're talking about taking the best, the utilities from that, the thing that got us through to this point, and putting it together to make one nation, right? And we're already there, but we got to expedite and multiply these things and put them together and combine them. I've seen it happen many times. You know, in fact, when we brought Kwame Ture here, this was how it happened. It was a group of organizations from all the people who I named: the Greeks, the Masons, the Cometics, the Moors, the Nation, everybody, man, all kind of different people from all different walks of life. And when I saw Dr. Khaled come, it was the same thing. So I said, oh, okay, I got it. And that was the strongest contingent. I'm just saying.
You're right
That
about
was,
that. Though.
that was the strongest contingent.
Yo, can you explain? Can you explain further about Khaled and his initiative?
Well, I saw Khaled talk to Christians. When I talk to Christians, they have real good things to say about it. I mean, stomp down, no shirt in the morning Baptist Christians that eat bacon every day had real good things to say about Dr. Khaled. They identified with him, with his frequency and his energy, okay? Not necessarily with everything he said, but they loved the shit out of Khaled, okay? Then I met Greeks because Dr. Khaled was a Q.
Right.
Okay. And he had a door in with them. So they would all come to the meetings. Then I met al-Islam dudes that loved him because he knew the Quran real good. And he could show them the black side of the Quran. You know what I mean? Then I knew Cometics because he was a student of Dr. John Henry Clark that loved him, man. Loved him like they daddy. Then I knew nationalists who learned more about nationalism from, dealing with Dr. Khaled. Then I knew Pan-Africanists who knew that he was with Idi Amin in Africa. So I could just keep going, brother. When I say the universal God, I could say that and you could close your eyes and maybe picture something, but he was the embodiment of that, him and Kwame Ture, because Kwame had the same past. Everybody loved Kwame, Ella Baker had this same quality, what we call the universal quality, the you quality, where different walks of life will embrace you. You can go to different cities. You can go in churches. You can go in mosques. You can go in synagogues. You can go amongst the nationalists, the Pan-Africanists, and everybody's holding up a black fist because you're there and smiling. That's power. That's power. And we need to imitate this, what I like to call divine diplomacy. It's divine diplomacy. It can knock down doors that other political big head, I think I know everything, statisticians cannot do. Farad had this as well. This man was going into people's houses who cooked nothing but pork and probably never seen somebody that looked like him. And they were saying this was a time of what? Segregation. So for a man that looked like this to come into your house was kind of, you might be going to jail. There, if things are not made
really
clear, right? But they still let him in.
Very important to take that in consideration. He was working with something very powerful besides skin color.
Come on now.
And I keep reiterating this over and over and over again to the world. It's been my message and my teaching and my seed for a very long time, from the very inception of Knowledge of 120, Refinement.
And that's what I mean by the universal quality.
You could do, being this guy right here, we've done so much with so little and come so far so fast that we could just about do anything. With nothing. With the supreme magnetic, bruh. That's why we started the round table, to bring those to the equation that have the gifts, man, and the right intentions. This is the 144,000, bruh. Is born into the sky, but that's what that number represents. Those who have crucified their lower selves and circumcised their heart chakra. There's some real genuine work, cleaning up their fuck nigga shit. And most people haven't done that. Niggas running from refinement, trying to make me out to be the bad nigga. I'm trying to help you with dusty, musty, crusty, and lusty, nigga. You should like me. I'm a motherfucker that's gonna tell you shit you don't like about yourself. We don't never want to look at the shadows. We always want to take the best part, status and fake shit. We don't want to look at our dirty, dusty shit.
Yo,
that's the problem.
Give me the three: the dusty, musty, and crusty. What you say?
Rusty, dusty, musty, and crusty. The four unclean spirits.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
The enemies of refinement.
Now, does the round table have?
That's just not physically, God. That just doesn't mean physically. It means mentally dusty, the wrong, fucked up, bitter attitude. Bitterness makes you dusty mentally. And spiritually, most people are dusty. Their energy
Say
is
that.
bad.
Say that.
That's why
Teach
they
that.
can't go among other people. So you can really see who emotional. People say they got knowledge, but they can't go dialogue with somebody who thinks different than them and build and
Right,
come
right.
to a common maker. When you got knowledge and when you really dealing with power and force, you can make your understanding understood, man.
Come on,
That's
man. Come
equality.
on. Come on.
And everybody don't have that excellent quality. So the round table is those who have that, not who getting it. We
Come on
done
now.
with getting it. Niggas had 100 years to get that shit right, man. Do the knowledge. We
Now
doing
we're doing the
everything else but
inventory.
doing the knowledge. We
Now
doing the
we're doing the
word. We
inventory.
giving the devil
Yep.
all our time and energy. We fronting like we really about this. Niggas ain't about this life, bruh. I'm gonna
All
leave
right.
it at that.
Hold on, God. Can you expound on that? You talking about giving the devil all your time, niggas fronting like they really about this. I want you to go a little deeper into
Well,
that.
we give more time to the devil than we do to our own self and our own ideals. We take his world into the niggas, the gods, and all these brothers and sisters from all these persuasions are really taking the devil into giving him an extension.
Mm.
Niggas don't want to hear that though. They don't want to hear the truth. See, we say we power percent, we stand on truth, but nah, niggas, it's falsehood. It's what niggas, false ideals and concepts. So I draw it up clearly, man, and I love you enough to tell you the truth. I gave everything. I sacrificed everything for this knowledge. I've been persecuted, bruh. They kicked me out of penitentiary because I'm so God. So I'm not just, it's not just talk for me, bruh. It's real in the trenches from day one all the way in. And I'm saying that I broke free. The devil gave me a pass. He left me alone. Why? Because I'm real with this. And until brothers kill the devil in themselves and get their mind right, stop being scared of the grafted man, niggas keep talking about him bad, but we won't
They ain't gonna get no W's.
we
Yeah.
won't collectively unite and go together and go address him directly. But we'll sit back and talk shit behind his back, but we won't go tell him to his face. I don't want to hear this watered down weirdo shit. The black round tables for all the thoroughbreds who's tired, who ready to unite with their air light, bro. No matter what your
Indeed.
persuasion, if your energy right, you at the black round table. Not
Come on.
nigga, you attracted and you repelled by the Holy of Holies, the Most High, Allah, the real Allah, the power and the foot, not the fake shit. Status, where you from, weirdo shit, trying to judge people because that's all fake shit. How much work have you done in your soul?
Mm.
How many times have you came back after you woke up from traveling back to the Akashic records and downloading all that information? How many times have you implemented it in your waking days, in your conscious time, during waking consciousness? Like now, during the day, at night we rest, we go somewhere very special and download and get our mission, get rejuvenated, to come into this dimension to do the work. But people don't come
Mm-hmm.
back. They go to work for the devil. As soon as they get up, take a shower and pack their lunch. So that's what
So
the Black Round Table is.
let me ask you this. Does the round table have a particular curriculum? Do you have to write a letter like the Nation of Islam to get in? How's
You
it
have
work?
to have excellent qualities. You have to bring an art and a science. You have to bring something artistic that can help us advance, something we can give to the babies. And you have to have a science. Something practical that's could be useful. Like me, I'm a healer, a gemstone healer.
Mm-hmm. You're a fitness instructor, my brother. So
Well,
you see,
I'm a fitness instructor. I'm a massage therapist
see,
and
see?
Now we're talking. See,
and a martial arts instructor.
Okay.
see, you the
Me, I
man for
do,
that.
I do music, and I make all natural products and whatnot, and I do some other things too. But I have a few trades under my belt. But that's a very important part of development for a man. For other men that's the equality. Because if we are all practitioners of something, and another man come to the table, he's not a practitioner of something, that's a problem. bruh, you got to get a trade or something. Otherwise, what are you adding on? You see what I'm saying? Now, that's on an individual level. But as organizations, we want to be able to we want our people to be look at all our organizations and qualify them and say what utility they currently bring to us, right? What they do for our neighborhoods on a civic level. Otherwise, let's keep it a buck. We can just subtract them right from the equation because they're not the productive land. They're not the producing land. What does the Bible say? A tree that does not produce good fruit is what? Cut down and
Cut
used
down.
for firewood, right?
Mhm.
Just
Fire and
saying,
brimstone.
if they saying this is Islam and this is the fruit of Islam, but it not producing fruit, okay, we got to get a different tree to make sure we can produce these what? Fruit of Islam, right? But it's not producing. Oh, and that's kind of where we're at, y'all. We have to do this assessment. The place and the space that our fathers sat in, our fathers are now too old or they have passed away. So the stuff they did for us and what we saw them do, we must do for a younger generation, but it must be a greater unity that stands together. Because the last thing we want to show these young folks is more disunity and division. That doesn't make sense. We can't get
We
mad
need
at
our
them for
elders to be
holy God. We can't get mad at them for being in the state and in the condition they're in if we're divided as elders. You
right.
can't say nothing.
Yes,
You can't
sir.
say
We need
nothing.
our
They're
elders to
doing
be
what you got.
united on one
Yeah.
accord. And the older people got
See?
to set the example of unity and equality. That's
And
what's
that's the
more
only way
magnetic
the
than the
young people,
teaching. They see us
that's the
working
only way,
together. That's going to be half the battle right there.
that's what's going to bring them home, family. That's what's going to bring them home to where we can really have this rites of passage discussion with the young trap stars, man. You know, because we do need to have this discussion with them, you know, about the culture and whatnot and what's appropriate things for age appropriate things, you know? Because when you're 20, it's some shit that's not fly. There's some shit you can do that's not fly when you're 30. Okay. There's some shit you can do when you're 30 that's not fly when you're 40.
Right.
There's some stuff you could do in your 40s that's age appropriate, but it's not age appropriate for 50. So there's these different transitions, but if you don't have all the groups at the table, they can easily be divided like we are now. And I'm gonna say this. When we deal with the principles of mathematics, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, you cannot multiply and divide at the same time. These two principles of mathematics go against each other.
Right. Right. So now, as far as the round table, what are you brothers doing right now as far as the round table? Like, do you have like a online initiative
Well,
or is
family, I don't really like to go into like a lot of the programs because what happens is that people will suck and work against your programs because they're dealing with money. And you know, but there's some very, very extremely positive things that we are doing. But I would like for people to contact us personally. I don't want to go into those things, but there's some very, you know, inspirational things that we're doing that enrich the Black family. You know, and if people are sincere and if you step to us right, yes, we will let you in the door into the house of Bastet to participate in them, but we're not just going to put them out there. We've had a lot of our ideas that we shared with people stolen from
That's
us
what
by
niggas
people whom
do.
I thought
The
was,
jewel
you
thing.
know what I mean?
They
Whom
take it
people
and
I thought
graft
was,
it and mix it and
yeah,
dilute it and give it to the devil.
see? But I think that the story of Joseph is a very important story for the Black man, particularly here in America, because Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. Okay, but then Joseph became the man in Egypt, and he brought Egypt back, you know, and put them, you know, gave them some game and was able to bring them out of famine. So his brothers had to come and ask him to help them, you know, and that's kind of the position that we're in. We have to examine these brothers who saying they are brothers to see if they are alike or see if they unalike. You see?
You have to test the spirits, man. That's
Yeah.
what mind detect mean. You have to become
Mhm.
a master at walking through the third dimension, be able to
Come
scan
on.
energy. You got to be energy cognizant, or you're not welcome at the round table, Black
And
round table.
remember, the Joseph story is in Genesis. Then it went to Exodus. meaning to separate and to, go into the promised land, right? Then it went to Exodus. So this Joseph analysis that we need to have has to happen first before we can get to what? The Exodus, right?
So let me ask you this. So I mean, you brothers already explained how we could better unify, and refinement was like the main word used. Refinement. Now, let's say if you have, well, I mean, you already pretty much answered it, but I just want to expound on it a little more. You have a Moor who is pro nationality, and he doesn't want to deal with the word black at all. And then you have maybe someone from the Pan-African side. They're both sitting down. Pan-Africanists, they're using the word black. Moors have an issue with that. How do you bring those two people together?
Well, God, we have to find new words, new ways to express who we are. Write a new way that we all can agree. That's what they did. First, we were Hebrew. We spoke Arabic. We spoke wherever we was at. That's how we rocked. That's good. That's okay. But we just have to find something we all can agree upon.
Come on now.
Easy. The original nation. Who cannot agree on that?
Right.
Real
And
simple.
that's what we're dealing with.
Because
We know
what
there's
makes you
different
qualify
expressions.
to be in that nation is that you're original. What's original mean? That's where I come in, of teaching what original man is, who he is, where he is. Origin starts from the knowledge degree. You have to have the knowledge of yourself. So you have to have the origin of yourself. You have to have the origin of your energy, which is your natal chart. Not you won't be the original man because you won't be in your right character or traits. You won't be coming here with your divine characteristics and personality traits. You'll just be a watered down weirdo nigga like most people. But it starts with your natal chart.
Let me put some on the table real quick. So we know that before there were words and names, right, as a form of expression, there was mathematics, because mathematics help us to put these words in a particular order, this alphabet in a particular order. So we know mathematics was the language that was spoken before we spoke these different languages of Arabic, Ge'ez, Bantu, you know what I mean? Mathematics.
Yes,
if mathematics don't be there, the language means what? Nothing, right? Right or wrong? Okay. So once we understand this, we know that these words are replaceable and they represent expressions and ideas, but they're just words. You know what I mean? It's not the original word, because I'm going to take it back to mathematics. What did they tell us? They said the universal language is mathematics.
Mathematics. That's the language that we got to speak. That's the only way you can speak that language is you have to know your origin. You have to know your natal chart. It's prerequisite. Really being born into reality. If not, you got information, but you don't have application.
Well, and words can divide us, but the mathematics bring us together. That's what the greatness, man, of the Father that he was able to show us, because a lot of people who are divided on how they saw supreme wisdom, man, the God brought it together, man. He brought a clear understanding of it, a very, very clear understanding that was the most clear understanding of it to this day, period. And made people who didn't necessarily appreciate it more, because they could see it through the eye of the eye of the mind, and through the language of mathematics. And because we were able to bring understanding out of that, we were able to apply those same mathematics to other things and get the same results. And we know that we can apply these we are able to take this into hip hop and reorganize the English language, sir. So I know that we can take these mathematics and reorganize our civics as a people and put it in a better order to where it's more productive. You see?
Indeed.
Yes, sir.
Now, Awareness Daily asks, where do we physically come together?
Well, family, I did a piece real quick. Hold on. Let me add on. Let me put this, and then I'm gonna let you add on. I did a piece called "The 7 Cities of America," and it gives you like an example of how our people could come together in the different entities. You can look. Y'all can find that on the 16 Black Meccas YouTube page. Check it out. It's called "The 7 Cities of America," and it gives you like a picture of what it would look like us coming together, the different entities that we need to form, and the type of environment that would be conducive to this. Go ahead, Lord. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom.
No, go ahead, Lord. I'm doing the knowledge what you're saying, because when we come together, just the energy is going to bring you to where you're supposed to be. If you, wherever you give your attention, that's where you're going to be. So if your attention is to really be a part of this movement, I don't, like, I sat here one day and thought about, I watched New York Perspective. I said, them brothers are universal. I see a Moor.
What he said.
I see a Muslim.
And guess what he did? He called me in.
I see a God. Oh, and they build it. Then I called the God. I said, what I say, God?
He said, look, these brothers have the same frequency and energy and sincerity as what we're talking about. We need to build with them. And I reached out to you, my brother.
Yeah.
Serious. That's how that went. It was based upon spirit. Yeah, from what we detected from your spirit, your energy, it was, I detected cooperation, diplomacy, the universal quality, friendships in all walks of life, the social, a society of men for what?
One common cause.
That's what I saw. From different walks of life, but for one common cause.
Well, I also seen that he was a God body, the God that could build with other people. He had tact. He don't be arguing and trying to force you can't force this on people, man. They ran from this. We ran to this. They ran from this. Now, I'm going to say this. Knowledge comes in degrees. And we sit at the top in the degree. But there's no big eyes or small U's, because we teach leadership as a people. But we sit at the top, bro. We're very responsible. It's a lot of responsibility here. And I just wanted, before I return to glory, I just want to be able to say, okay, man, I did my little part, what I was supposed to do to bring in the next generation of thoroughbreds. People who get shit done. We don't got another 100 years to keep fornicating with the devil, man.
No.
I don't want to tell you about the gods who tired of this shit, who ready to bomb this shit out. We're going to that next show. That's who I am. The shock of the hour.
Come on.
Yes, sir.
Got you. Yo, on that note, I want to conclude, because we got a podcast coming on right after this. I'm building with the Afro-Mexican history with C. Narain Ill. And this was a peace bill. Peace to you guys for showing up this evening. Y'all gonna
we will be back. We'll be back with
the Black Round Table on a consistent basis, reoccurring. We got more stuff coming from these brothers. Check out the YouTube, the 16 Black Meccas, and we're
check out Supreme Being Jules. The Nation of Gods and Earth, Cypher Heat. Check out Supreme Being Jules. Rules, Jewels, and Tools, man. It's called lacing. I'm lacing you with actual facts, solar facts.
All right.
And I say peace to the original nation.
Victorious, when you get a chance, send me that so I can start plugging that. Peace to everybody, and we're out of here. Thank you for the $10 ADL choice. Really appreciate it. Peace.